Hello, you know I took some much needed time off, hashtag yoga and biscuits. I've been thinking recently about how many things I've really enjoyed during that time, during that previous month. There have been some brilliant movies, I've read some great books, I have heard some excellent music. So I thought, why not share? Sharing is caring. Some people are gonna wanna know, some people are gonna wanna join in. So these are my best ones. Dan, aren't they just called favourites? No, shut up. First up, tea. Start low-key. Next up, avocado toast, because fuck owning property. I'm a millennial, nah. This is one that anyone who follows me on Snapchat, plug, will know. Game of fucking Thrones. I came super late to this party. I saw the first episode way back when and was like, nah, you know what? I don't really think that's for me. Too many boobs. I do enjoy boobs, but I did think with the first episode, there was just a lot. And I was like, is any of this necessary? Kind of put me off a bit. Also, I have this whole thing where I like being a contrarian. But then when we moved into this house, Jack and Kieran had both binged it and they both loved it. And then they went away and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll join in. And oh my God, I must have watched the first 2 seasons in about 3 days. And then because of whatever reason, I didn't watch the third series till the next year. And then this year I was like, right, I need to be caught up. So I just binged 4, 5, and 6 in the space of about 2 months. And oh my God. You'll see in July's PMS, I actually filmed my reaction to one of the season 6 episodes because it ended up becoming the best piece of art I've ever seen in my life. I've never really been one for high fantasy. I've never really been able to get into dragons and quests and stuff. I like the idea of it. Those kind of things do appeal to me so much, but for some reason when I've sat down and tried to read stuff, I kind of got lost amidst it. Also, as a bookseller, having walked into the sci-fi and fantasy section and seeing several series of fantasy novels, it's very intimidating. They're very thick and there's like 19 of them. And that kind of makes me go, ah. Just for clarification, that noise was ah. I tried reading Lord of the Rings when I was younger and I just couldn't. I think it was just so dense and there was so many things and I just couldn't. I couldn't. But what I found with Game of Thrones is that it's less about the fantasy elements and it's more about the political machinations of the characters. And you know me, I love my politics, so my little brother loves the series and he's like a fantasy bod. So he reckons these books are my entryway into enjoying more and more fantasy. And so I've started. I'm only a little bit obsessed. I'm really excited about reading this because I've been in a very happy, positive reading space for the last month. That's a segue. One of the books that I read and frankly devoured and haven't really stopped thinking about is Carrie Fisher's The Princess Diarist. When the book was being released, there was a lot of talk in the press about how it exposed her relationship with Harrison Ford. They had a 3-month affair during the filming of Star Wars. And the way the press had pitched it was almost that it was like this big romantic outing and then, oh, all the ships are truly sailing. Is that the correct use of the shipping metaphor? I don't know. So I went in with an expectation and the opening picture at the start of the chapter about Harrison Ford is this lovely picture of the two of them, very young, both smiling, really cute picture. And you start reading it and you think, oh, this is quite sweet. And then as I was reading it, as I went on more and more, my feelings about the situation changed. I'm gonna say that much. I don't wanna say loads or give too much away because I had such an organic reaction to it that I want you, if you read it, to also have. One thing I felt as I read this book, and the more I went into it, the more I felt really valid in this feeling, was that this was a story she felt she needed to tell. There are a couple of mentions of like her obituaries or what happens when she's gone, and reading it now that we have lost her just made me feel like, and I know this sounds a bit mad, it made me feel like she knew, she had a sense that something is gonna happen and I need to get this book out before it's too late. Almost like a stream of consciousness, like she just put the pen to paper and just let the words flow. Little asides, little comments she makes, little apologies she makes for certain jokes. I don't know, it's almost like these words flowed from her onto the paper, unfiltered, and she just needed to get it out. Yeah, I was just really affected by it. Movie-wise, can we take a second? Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming, Baby Driver, War for the Planet of the Apes. There are so many good movies. I reckon the Planet of the Apes franchise is the most underrated franchise in Hollywood at the moment. They're so well produced, they're so well performed, and they don't get the attention of the Marvels, the DCs, the Transformers, the Pirates. But all three of them, Rise, Dawn, and now War, are astonishing. Also, I'm going to quickly talk about Wonder Woman because I think there was a lot of talk about whether or not it was really great. I came up with a line that I was quite proud of and I said it to all of my friends until none of them found it funny anymore, which is just generally how I tell jokes. I think Wonder Woman is great in the same way that Jeremy Corbyn won the election. Neither is technically true, but when you add context, so everyone thought Labour were going to be wiped out, and then they come back and actually they get the same amounts of seats as last time, and you go, oh shit, great, that's a victory, innit? Wonder Woman is a really enjoyable movie with good direction, good lead performances, enjoyable action. It has a really nice blend of tones, like it's funny in some places, and it's serious when it needs to be, and neither of those feel like they're competing, but it's bog standard origin story superhero fare. However, the fact that it is led by a woman and directed by a woman in a landscape where Hollywood hasn't been particularly kind to female-led superhero movies. There's this whole idea that, yeah, well, Catwoman was rubbish, and that proves that no one wants to go and see female-led superhero movies. And major Hollywood franchises directed by women are few and far between. So the fact that Wonder Woman was on the higher end of the superhero enjoyability scale of the past 5 or 6 years, especially DC, takes it from really good to great. Adding that context of, I guess, girl power makes it great. One of the things I liked most was I got a real sense of empathy from Gal Gadot's Diana. I haven't felt that way about other superhero characters. I kind of feel that they care, but there was something in her performance that made me see that she is acting on behalf of empathy for other people, rather than her strict inner moral code of right and wrong. Also, I really like the fact that Chris Pine's character, Steve Trevor? Steve. At no point did he stop her from doing something because he felt he wanted to protect her. He tried to stop her from acting on impulse in certain places because he knew the horrors and the reality of war. He was like, you don't understand, there are complications here, it's not as easy as you think it is. Rather than, I love you, I must protect you, I don't want you getting in harm's way because I might lose you. Which I just thought was quite refreshing. The third act was a bit smashy for me, but I enjoyed myself, so yes, Wonder Woman was great. That's it, those are some of my best ones. What are your best ones? What have you really enjoyed recently? What have you thought of the ones that I've talked about? Look at me doing all that sort of audience engagement. Have a chat. If you disagree, that's fine. That's literally fine. Do try and keep the comments a spoiler-free zone if you can, because if you don't, I will find you.